All right, everybody. Thanks for coming in today and joining us. Um, in this industry, a guy can't possibly know everything, so you need to seek out people that are smarter than you are. Let them help you out a little bit. So that's what I've done here today. We got Eric here, the great freight sage logic, and we kind of been watching each other's channels, agree on a few things, and there's something I really want to talk about, and nobody probably knows this topic right now as good as Eric. And Eric, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on in.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's a great
Yeah.
honor to meet you. Great honor.
Oh,
I've watched
yeah.
the show for a long time.
This is awesome.
I've even taken place in some of your trivia question shows.
Oh, did you win? Did you win anything?
I did. I came in first twice, but I gave my reward up to somebody else. So
awesome. So probably wondering what we talk about here. This opportunity that everybody is missing out on, and you and I kind of agree on this. Everybody thinks as an owner operator, the big opportunity out there right now is $5 a mile freight, and we're going to go out and pound it, spot market, and get all the money that we can from these rates as much as we can. And I think that's kind of missing the forest through the trees here, and you kind of feel the same way right now.
I do.
Where do you think we're missing here?
Well, I think a couple things, and one thing right now, I think everybody's missing. Like I say, they're missing the hero of the story here.
Mm-hmm.
The hero of the story is the opportunity that you could be giving yourself by not looking at that load as the only load you're ever going to do with this person, with this customer. Because if you go into these customers right now are dying to find someone else to help you get freight. I mean, the opportunity you have right now is to talk to customers that would have never even talked to you at any other time before this storm of freight that just happened.
Yes.
I mean, they're out there in the sea right now in the worst storm. If you're a shipper, you're paying $5-6 a mile for freight that you were just paying $2 or $3 a mile for. You're in the storm of the century here looking for a lifeboat. And at this point, any ship that passes by, they're ready to try out new people.
Yes.
And I have had so many drivers call me and say, "Hey, we need to talk." Okay, what's up? I just went into a customer and the guy came out and said, "Hey, are you local? I like handling you, the way you handle my freight. Can I go to you direct?" When does that ever happen? And it's not just small ones; it's big ones. Because here's what happened. Okay, let me kind of get into this the gist of this. Normally, and just so everybody knows, real quick, I have my CDL. I was a truck driver. I was owner operator. I was a local driver. I'm a broker now. Don't hold that against me. I see a whole bunch of things disappear. But I was also a carrier, and I've been doing over-dimensional freight as a broker for 14 years. So how freight goes and contracted rates go is contracted rates hit the market in the times where they're normally at peak. They renegotiate your contract. So in December, they'll renegotiate contracts, November, December, because that's the high season. So brokers have more leverage to negotiate with customers when rates are high.
Right.
Because they don't want to negotiate when rates are lower in February because they won't get as much money from it. Well, what happened and this year was because of the vid and everything that happened, it was in a news article. It's on one of my things, but just C.H. Robinson alone, 1/3 of C.H. Robinson's customers did not re-up contracted bids. They just waived it because prices were way too high, right? They were way too high at the time and they didn't want to be locked into those prices. So what happened was all of that freight went to the spot market because it's no longer under contract. Because contracted carriers, well, if you're not going to guarantee me contracted rates, I'm gone. I'm going to run the spot market. So all that contracted freight, I mean, that's 1/3 of one brokerage, C.H. Robinson. And then you have all these other brokers that customers probably did the same thing. That hit the spot market. Spot market exploded because all that contracted freight. And normally your spot market is for freight that is not under contract. If that hits what's called the spot market. Well, this year, boom, it exploded. Then you have a huge boom in freight. And then you have the normal freight season coming around in April and all this other stuff. So right now, shippers are taking a beating. And they did not want to re-up contracted rates for these rates with these brokers. So they're looking for alternatives. And what I seems to be the new trend is they are tired of brokers that give them crap, lies.
Yes.
Oh, your truck's going to be there. And they're tired of these brokers telling them, oh, yeah, I can't find any trucks and doing it wrong. You know, we all hate brokers for the same reasons. And I'm a broker, so trust me, I'm a guy that's, you know, I've crossed the line, so my life has been threatened. No, but basically, there's nothing new in that industry. The brokers lie, they tell them they're going to have trucks, and they tell them one thing, and all this stuff that happens. Well, customers seem to now want more service, so they are now finding trucks to go to say, "Can you help me?" Okay.
Right.
Because they want a face. They want someone that they can look in the eyes and say, let's be honest, how did this get screwed up? There's a truck, you know, you have the truck. Tell me how this really got screwed up. Or you're doing a great job. Keep it up. They want someone to be able to actually talk to. So the first questions they seem to be asking with everybody that calls me is, the drivers, are you from this area? How many trucks do you have? Can we deal directly with you? That seems to be the common question customers are now asking the drivers that show up at their doors and back into the dock.
Right.
That never happened. Customers did not want to talk to drivers. They didn't want to deal with drivers. They just wanted. So I've been saying this, I don't know how often. If you're good at what you do, customers will come to you. Well, it's finally happening.
Yes.
So what's basically happening, let me get this set up real quick here. Hang on a second. What's finally happening is that opportunity to meet those people and meet the people that are the actual gatekeepers to the freight, the people that are actually going to say, yes, I'll send you a quote. So right now it's easy to get customers, but it's hard to get trucks. And here you are with 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 trucks, and you're right at their door. And they're basically coming out saying, look, you're my last opportunity because you're the guy sitting in that seat and I need that thing. So how many of those things do you have? And this is where I've come out and said, it's time for every single carrier to get their brokerage because you are a asset-based company with a brokerage. And I did a video and I broke down my brokerage numbers. You have so much leverage right now. You better start using it because of these prices. Yep.
To not do that is an inability to think long term.
Absolutely.
Everybody right now is about the short term satisfaction of $5 a mile, blah blah blah. Well, hey, you got the opportunity right now to set yourself up for 20, 25 years to come for, I don't know, $3.50 a mile. Still some historically great rates, and this opportunity has never been there before.
Right
now, it takes a few things to get that done. Obviously, a change of mindset. Obviously, to be able to shift a little bit more to long-term thinking. It takes a certain personality type to have these conversations, some knowledge, some training. I work with a guy named Paul from Freight Connect that's helped me with that because you got to realize where your shortcomings are. Everybody has to be honest with himself in business.
Absolutely.
You might be the best truck driver in the world, can drive the wheels off that truck. You might be able to back into every dock in the country on the first turn. But can you sit down and have a conversation with somebody from a big company, talk to them on a high level and explain to them why they need your service, why you're justifying the pricing that you have, and what order do you want to have this conversation in? Do you want to talk first about rates? I don't think you do. First, you want to talk about what their needs are, what problems you can solve for them, so on and so forth. So if you can't have these conversations, don't be afraid to hire somebody that can for you. I have some videos with a gentleman that does that. And then too, if you're adding a brokerage and growing that way, that's more conversations that people can help you have, people like that. But don't pass up this opportunity, because if things turn around, they're going to say, we're not going to do that anymore. But hey, you already got your foot in the door. You're already here and you've done a good job. So I think we want to keep you. We like you. Anybody else with 5 trucks, 10 trucks, we're not going to talk to them anymore.
Right.
Is that kind of what you're seeing too?
Yeah, and that's what happens. And I always tell this to people. Henry Ford did it a long time. Had a reporter come to him, and the reporter thought he was going to be a smart butt ass or whatever. And he said, "Hey, can you tell me about the transmissions in your car and blah, blah, blah?" And Henry Ford's like, "I don't know." He's like, well, how do you not know? Because I pay that guy to know. And that's kind of
Exactly.
where you want to kind of handle that aspect of it. You don't have to know everything. You just have to hire someone who does know and handle that. And
Yes.
that's how this business works. And that's how companies grow. You find people with a vested interest in your company who want your company to succeed. And by you succeeding, they make more money and you make more money and everybody's happy. So, and that's where everybody seems to go in and say, okay, well, I want to maximize. They look at every load as the only load they're ever going to do rather than how many more loads can I get for this if I just come down on my price but still give my best service.
Yes.
And that goes a huge way, a monstrous way. It really does. I mean, I am not a cheap broker, and stuff that I do overdimensional. And what happens with me is I go to a customer with a truck and a price. Okay. I don't go and say, well, let me get 3 quotes and do all this. I'm like, no, here's my price. Here's my truck. I can guarantee the truck for this price. Problem solved. I put the ball in their court because I don't need them. At that point, they now tell me, well, it's either too expensive or what can we do? And I'll decide if it's yay or nay or what we can do. But what everybody needs to understand is that this is wealth in your company. This is how you build wealth in your company. You can get wealthy doing this. You can get rich, keep running those $5 a mile. You'll get rich. But you know what? People win the lottery, they get rich, and it's all gone. This is how you build wealth in your company. You get your brokerage, which is cheap, and anybody can check out my channel. I talk about this all the time, and you get these direct customers. So while everybody else is working that spot market and dealing with the brokers who are trying to make the most money and drive down the price to you, you're getting your direct customer price all the time. Like when the vid hit me, my prices never came down because I pay the same drivers. I work a lot with the same drivers because I have direct customers. My prices didn't come down. They were locked in. So I didn't need to do that. And now you're dealing with that direct customer, and it's real simple. When you go into a customer, you got to look, what is their problems? Solve their problems. You'll win.
Yeah.
It's like,
go
ahead.
You have to learn how to have their conversation, not your conversation.
Right. And the first key to that, I mean, cut you off. The first key to that is if anybody who ever watches, it was Kevin Spacey. He was a hostage negotiator or whatever. And there's a clip in that. And I even put this in one of my videos. The first thing to negotiation is you never tell the customer no. Just like if somebody's got a gun and they're holding people hostage in a bank, you never tell the guy no because that ends the conversation.
Right.
So when you go to a customer, if a customer says, hey, can you do this? Let me look into that. I'll find out how I can do that. And a lot of drivers will go about, no, I can't do that. I don't have enough trucks. When the answer should be, let me look into that. And then you would look into how to get a brokerage. So they don't want to hear no. Once you start saying no to a customer, unless it's illegal, hey, can you ship this, 200 pounds of marijuana? No. But if it's something that can be done, find a way to do it. And your customer they're never going to go anywhere. They're never going to go anywhere.
Yeah, and another thing too is be educated and be the person that they turn to for information and expertise. You create that with them, and whenever they have a question, guess who they're going to come to? They're going to come to you, not Joe Blow Brokerage, because he doesn't know anything other than, hey, you got a load, I can move it for this. You got to know some things, and if you don't feel confident in that, you actually can sometimes hurt yourself by trying to operate one level above what your competence level is. You might just be a little bit out of your league. Now you can get there by educating yourself. You can get there by finding somebody smarter than you, have them help you. You can hire somebody, but be honest with yourself. Figure out what's inside of you, because of some people you will get one chance, and some of these people will see it coming as soon as you walk in the door.
Yes.
So these are important things, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to do this and capitalize on these opportunities, because going back to that one chance thing, this might be the one chance you have in your life to do this.
And that's where how the freight works also is when freight rates are way up, it's easy to get customers. It's easier to get customers. Freight prices are way, way, way up right now. So it's easiest to get customers right now. But it's hard to find trucks. So you're the trucks, right? If you have a carrier of more than one truck, 2 trucks, you need a brokerage. Don't waste time. It's cheap, and get it. And I'll explain. But when freight rates are down, it's hard to get customers, but it's easy to find trucks. So right now you have to take that opportunity that freight rates are up and get your foot in the doors. So when freight prices level back down again, you're already in there and you're working that customer, and then it's easier for you to find trucks because the freight prices have now gone down. You've got to take these ebbs and flows. It's like a surfer, man. You when that big wave comes, you better ride it. You better maximize it, because if you're just like, oh no, I'm going to wait for another one, I'm going to wait for another one, eventually the sea dies down and you're stuck out there waiting for the jet ski to pick you up because it's done.
It might never come.
And it might never, right. So when you see that opportunity of this wave, it's like, okay, how do I optimize on this? Something has changed. Freight rates have never been this high. What are the repercussions of that? Customers are going to be needing some help. They can't afford this forever. I need to optimize on that. And that's what wealthy people do. They optimize on events like this. And that's what, business people do. You find events like this and you optimize on it. You're in the stock market. You wait for something to dip and then you jump in when it dips, knowing when it's going to go back up. Profit day, right? People, when profits come out for a stock, usually people take their profits and it dips back down again, right? Usually, even when their quarterly profits come out, if the profits are good, people take profit and it dips down a little bit. Then you can buy in on that, and then the stock goes back up again. Nobody wants to buy, nobody waits. Oh, everybody's like, oh, the stock's already at $20 and it went from $1 to $20. Should I buy it? Too late.
But on the contrary, that's what most people do.
Yes. It's called FOMO.
Yes. Most people buy high, sell low. That's how they lose all their money. Like, okay, everything just crashed. Well, I better sell because, well, you bought it here. Let's break that trend and go against what everybody else is doing.
Right.
You always see massive sell-offs when things go down. That's actually what most people do.
Right.
So to look at it, it's not that complicated. Buy low, sell high.
Exactly. But no, and this is the big picture here. The short picture and today and what's going to happen today is, man, I'm getting a $5 mile rate. What's going to happen tomorrow? And that's where I talk about, when I go over how much you need, when I'll talk about, okay, how much do you need to make that truck move? Well, you need this much, and that covers fuel. Then your second need is paying your bills. So just for the truck to move, it costs you insurance and fuel and the truck payment, right? And now you have bills to pay. So now you have to factor in, okay, what bills do I have to pay? On top, once you get that covered, people are like, well, how do I factor my wealth in my pay? Well, your wealth is the future. So if you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, I need $1.50 to move for me to profit, right? That's my key, $1.50. Well, how much more should I ask for? Well, you want to ask for as much as you can, but you should be factoring, well, down the road, I might want 20% for my brokerage. So now you factor that 20% into that, and now this is much. And then I might want to eventually hire an operations manager and this much.
Right.
And this is how you build wealth. So right now, which is huge because you cannot broker freight from a carrier, you have to have the brokerage. Right now, everyone should be, and I've got hookups galore. Everyone should be looking to get their brokerage. All you need is a $75,000 bond. My bond costs me approximately $1,500 a year, every year. You'll pay that every year. Depending, it's based on your personal credit. Some people are going to have better credit than me. Some people are going to have worse credit than me.
All right.
And then these are needs. You need to, of course, file with the FMCSA under broker. Not freight forwarder, but broker. And then you need a UCR, Unified Carrier Registration, because you do technically have a DOT number. You need that. That's all you need for that brokerage. So a brokerage could cost you the first year with an LLC and everything, because you would get a separate LLC with it, would cost you, let's say, $2,000 to $2,500 for the first year, worst case scenario, and then $1,500 a year every year after that. And I have wasted $2,500 a year every year since I was 20. I've wasted 25. I can guarantee you I've wasted. Yeah, it plus more. Just, hashtag don't tell my wife. But basically, easily that. To spend the money on that brokerage, $2,000 for a potential in making unlimited money, how do you not do it? How do you not do it?
Right.
I did my numbers on a video recently, and this is, I know I talk a lot, just so you know, I control
That's okay.
conversation.
Makes it easier for me.
Good. So I had a brokerage and a carrier, and what I want you to understand is that your carrier is going to be your foundation for your brokerage. It makes it easy to sell because you're selling yourself. You're selling your trucks. You're not selling to people you don't know. You're selling your trucks first. That's your foundation. Well, your foundation is basically for the brokerage. Your brokerage is going to support your carrier. Your brokerage is supporting your carrier. It's not the other way around. Your brokerage, my brokerage, okay, I did the numbers back in 2011 when I became my own brokerage, and I did them just in a video. My first year, I made $212,000 to me on my brokerage. Okay, tax bill enormous. That was my first year. I was like, whoa, okay. My second year, I did $282,000. Now, remember, at that time, there was a $10,000 bond. So at that time, it cost me nothing because I had a $10,000 bond. So that was my second year. My second year, my accountant said, you need to buy trucks. You need to do something. I said, okay, fine. I bought trucks, and I did 2 trucks with an 80-20 split. And I made like $55,000. I'm doing this from memory now on the 20% split. But my brokerage made $167,000. Okay. So because I'm unlimited on trucks,
right,
for my brokerage side, you're limited on your truck side. That right there is how trucking companies did. This is the secret rule nobody's going to talk about. Every single carrier, mega carrier, has a brokerage. They go from their direct customers down to their brokerage, from their brokerage down to their trucking side. They take money off the top of every load,
right,
for a couple reasons. And this is where everyone now should be jumping on that brokerage, because if you're good at what you do, customers are going to come to you. It is happening all the time right now. I probably get Easter Sunday. I was on 4 phone calls on Easter Sunday with people telling me, I just had a customer come to me. I had a customer come to me. How should I handle this? I had a customer come to me. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe how many customers are walking just, hey, you have a card? Do you have a card? Hey, you right there. You have a card? It's like, okay, just because they showed up on time. One guy said that he wants his card. He wants to do business with them because he called to make sure that, before he arrived, when he showed up, he checked up, and he wears a uniform. He wears a shirt with his company name on it. He came in professionally. He did all the paperwork properly, and then he called the receiver and told him he was on his way, and then he called the shipper back and said, I'm empty there. Thank you for the load. Guy's like, yeah, give me your phone number and call me because I want you to haul all my freight. Just for doing that. That's all he did.
Yeah.
What he was supposed to do.
And let's not gloss over the fact that some freight is paying $4 or $5 a mile right now, and they're still getting bad service.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
There's still trucking companies that will hold loads hostage, that will just abandon loads. It's crazy times right now. Let's back up just a little bit further here. When you're talking about wealth, for building wealth with your brokerage, it needs to be said too that wealth can look in a lot of different ways. Money, obviously, but the relationships, like the relationships you're building, the contacts you're making. That's where everything just compounds, because one relationship will, this person might say, hey, I got this guy hauling my freight, and they might know somebody over at this other company that says, I'm looking for somebody. We'll call this guy. It's way bigger than just what you're thinking and imagining, everybody. So let's not forget that also. And I'm sure that you deal with a lot of that. With your company and your brokerage.
I used to, and I explained how I explained how I did open deck, and how I got my customers in the beginning was I used Clickbait, old school Clickbait. So what I did was, when I was hauling, my carrier was hauling loads for like Landstar, Admiral Merchant, ATS, anything they would haul. Let's say they got a control building. I would have my driver take pictures of the control building on the truck, right? I'd tell him, wash the truck. We're going to get some good pictures here. He'd take a picture of that. I would then Google control building companies. all of them. I'd find email addresses, and I had a little spiel that I did that, hey, we specialize in overdimensional freight, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking to work with you, not for you. And I typed out the whole thing. Then I would send a picture of a control building, knowing that they built control buildings.
Right.
To them. So they'd open that email and they'd be like, oh, Jesus, is this one of our control buildings? Hang on a second. And they'd read my email. And I had guys call me and says, oh, you're good. You're good. I thought that was my control building. And then I get them on the phone and I'd say, okay, yeah, this is what we specialize in. We know how to move these things. We've moved them before. So my driver knows how to secure it. My driver understands how to, because sometimes they split them into two.
Right.
And one of them's with, they put wood there and stuff like that. And we say, so we carry a screw gun with extra screws in case some of the screws start to pop out. We know that we have that, because that wood starts to pop out going down the road. So you have to fire more screws into there to keep it secured. He's like, oh, man, this is what I need. Perfect. Go ahead. I'm going to send you some quotes. So I used that Clickbait, that's control buildings, to do that. Well, at one time I had a website and I was doing all that. I got to the point where it's like, I don't need a website. I took my website down because I got so many referrals. Hey, you hauled one of these buildings. We need you to quote this stuff. I didn't even need website or anything. It was just referrals. It's just word of mouth. I don't have, like I said, I don't have a website. I'm not out there doing calls. People are calling me saying, hey, this so-and-so gave me this, or I'll be CC'd on an email saying, hey, call this guy. I've CC'd him on the email. And next thing I know, they're calling me and saying, hey, can you haul this? You hauled this guy's freight. Can you help me out? Because like I said, this industry it is monstrous.
Yeah.
You guys, it is. I mean, this is the biggest industry, what I believe is the biggest industry in the world besides food. And roads were built because of it. Rail service was built because of it. Ships were built because of it, all just to move freight. The interstates of the road were built for freight.
Right.
I mean, every time you're on it, that road was built technically for the sole purpose of freight, not for the motoring public, but for freight. Think about the amount of money that is invested in logistics.
And just think how we're not welcome there anymore.
And look how you're not welcome there anymore.
Built for us, now they don't want us. Exactly.
Hey, I got an idea. Let's tax them by the mile when they drive on the road that we built for them. Wait, what?
Yeah.
And I see the same thing too. It's like, oh, this is, the industry is oversaturated with brokers. No, it's not.
There's room for good There's room for good carriers. There's room for good brokers. There's always room for good people. If you're a shady trucking company, you'll last a while. You'll make it a while. If you're a shady broker, you're not going to be around long at all.
No.
The technology today to, number one, weed out bad credit, and two, shippers care about if their freight makes it where it's supposed to go on time, and they want to see the carrier get paid. They care about their freight. They don't just give it to a broker and never worry about it again.
That's a good point to this. Let me explain. Let me give you a point to this. Okay. Tax season just went by. Do you do your own taxes, or do you have somebody else do your taxes?
We're kind of in conjunction with somebody, but they finalize everything.
You care that they do it right, because eventually the IRS is coming back after you, even though they did it right.
Absolutely.
A shipper cares that the broker is going to handle this right, because it's still the shipper's freight. According to Carmack, it's still the shipper's freight. So Carmack, I'm sorry. So
there's the magical word I've been wanting somebody. I talk about that all the time, the Carmack Agreement. We should do a show about that someday. Nobody understands that. Nobody even knows about it.
Dude, I did a whole show about this because I got...
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah. One of my shows is I got pissed off at... Oh, sorry. I got upset at brokers that they have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea what they're... And let me explain. I'll do this real quick, and I'll do this. My show is based on... A broker has you sign. I'm not a lawyer, nor is this legal advice.
Right.
Just so you know, a carrier has you. But a carrier has you waive Carmack, right?
Mm-hmm.
Waive your rights to that agreement, correct?
Right.
I even check it out because I even have an insurance claim that the insurance claim still claimed Carmack and did not pay the claim. So it's one of my shows on there. It says $12,000 insurance something. I can't remember. But anyways, my argument with that as a broker is I can't force you to waive something that is not intended for me. It's not my freight. I don't take possession of your freight.
Right.
And right in there, it says, I because I read it on there, I can't remember the wording, but I am not liable in any way to the Carmack Amendment as a broker. I never take possession of the freight. How can a broker make you waive something that he is not in possession of and he is not entitled to? Now, the shipper can make you waive it if the shipper can technically, because they are.
Right.
But in my opinion, again, and I had this fight, I cannot make you waive something that I am not, it doesn't affect me. I'm a broker, and it says specifically in the 2005 legal decision, a broker is no way liable for Carmack. I can't make you waive that. I cannot, as an entity, make another entity waive the right for detention. I can't make you waive the right for truck order not used. I can't make you waive the right for storage fee.
Right.
How can I tell you you can't charge me for something? This is America. Now, you can. I can fight it and not pay it, but we go to court and we let a judge decide. That's what legal is for. But I got into an argument because, to me, as a broker, if I can't say, well, you're in a wreck and now they want to sue me too, my first response is going to be like, well, I'm not responsible. I don't own the freight. I'm just the middleman. You want to use that argument, then you can't use that argument with Carmack and say, oh, I'm going to make you waive all this. Well, wait a minute. Are you in charge of the freight or are you not? Because it's either or here. Make a decision. And so my opinion is they can't make you waive those rights.
No, I think that's worth talking more about at some point, because I would say probably 90% of the people, owner-operators in general out there, have never even heard of the Carmack Amendment. And it's important.
It is.
It's a long, anybody who doesn't know what Carmack is, it's an agreement that kind of sets some general guidelines and practices and in the shipping business between shippers, receivers, carriers, kind of defines relationship and outlines procedures, standard practices, if that's a fair statement.
Yes, it is.
And some broad regulations of the industry. And it's been just totally disregarded and forgotten about through the years, but it still applies.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what somebody's contract says, it does still apply. And you probably never deal with it, maybe even in your life, but if it comes down there ever as a problem, it's important to understand what the Carmack Agreement says. It might be the one thing that saves you.
I sure would. To be honest, it truly favors the carrier.
Yes.
It truly does. That's who it's for. That's what it was designed. The amendment and regulations were designed for. It states everything to liability insurance, to cargo claims, to
cargo claims. I think is the biggest one that favors the carrier.
Yes.
People file a claim on things for carriers. The shippers, receivers have way more obligation in cargo claims and condition than they want you to understand.
Correct.
They have a responsibility, especially if it's a trailer or a load that you never see, lay hands on, have the ability to inspect. Freight comes over in cargo containers that has never been seen from the time it's loaded till the time it goes through 3 different warehouses and yards and 4 different cranes to load it and unload it and make it to its destination. You can't possibly be held responsible for any of that unless
according
you would.
Carmack, correct?
Yeah, according to Carmack, unless you run that container into a bridge or something, then obviously you have a problem. But it's there to help you. It's in our favor.
Correct.
So I'll try to put together some kind of show on Carmack at some point.
Yeah, and I'm welcome to pull up the stuff that I have, and I'm welcome to I'll read the insurance claim that basically stated, hey, Carmack states that it has to be losses. It can't be contingent things. You can't charge for, a crane. You have to actually occurred losses. Like whatever it was damaged, it was damaged. You can't just throw everything into there,
right.
So it's definitely something like that. And it's definitely worth the show because although it's not used a lot, it needs to be known what's in there.
It's kind of been pushed to the side. They want us to forget about it. They want us to not know about it.
And this is the stuff that if you are going to go to direct customers, you need to know a basic of knowledge of that and understand it. Now, of course, you're not a lawyer, not a legal professional. You just have to understand the basic knowledge so you can explain to a customer, hey, if this happens, because technically a carrier can hold your freight hostage, what you call hostage, if you don't want to pay them. They're allowed to put like a mechanic lien on it, if anybody knows what the old school mechanic lien, and sell it to recoup their transportation costs. That's in Carmack. Now, if you do that, they're going to say you can't do that and you've waived the right. And that's where I get into, well, how can you waive the right for something you don't own? But you're never going to work with that broker again, just so you know. But that's kind of one of the things that is in the Carmack. So that's something you want to make sure you know about. And this is stuff most brokers don't know about, or they think they know the truth, and they give the customer misinformation, and it gets them in trouble in the end. And this is where that's where I prefer carriers. Again, like I said, now I'm in overdimensional freight and I hate brokers, and I am one, because they get in my way and they screw up my industry mess. 99% of the customers I've got because somebody else said they could do it for $10,000 when it should have been $60,000. And the customer goes and they build this thing, and they build this $100,000 or $200,000 item, and now they can't deliver it for the price that they budgeted for. And it's like, where do they get the money? It's where do they get the money for that now?
Right.
Well, it's an open checkbook. It's really not. So a lot of times what happens is they're billing $10,000 to the receiver. Well, the shipper's now going to have to eat the other $50,000. And these are the problems that happen with brokers in my industry, because they get involved in stuff they shouldn't be involved in.
Yeah, a lot of them, and people go to these broker schools and they come out thinking they know everything, and they get into a business like they start brokering flatbed freight when they have no idea what is the difference between a strap and a chain and a 6-foot tarp and an 8-foot tarp, and that's where you run into problems too. And that's again where it helps to be an asset-based brokerage. Yeah. You're going to go a lot farther. No, just to be clear, when I was talking about holding loads hostage, what I'm talking about is picking up the load for an agreed condition and rate, and then saying, "Oh, I want more money, and if you don't give it to me, then I'm going to do this and that." And I'm sure you've heard of those things happening and such.
Right. And what it's actually for is if you get, next thing you know, it's supposed to be COD. You show up and they're like, "Oh yeah, we can't do COD. Can you give us 30-day credit?" No. This was COD type stuff. That's not hostage. That's you agreed to deliver COD. You get there and now they don't want to pay you COD. Well, they can say, "We're going to hold this till you pay us." That was the terms. That's what's on the paperwork. That's the agreement. You can't change it. And this is the stuff that, in there, it becomes legal fights, and it's extreme at that point. But this is the stuff right now that I am pushing immensely for, and I'm going over why. I'm breaking down on my channel. I'm breaking down the difference between freight forwarders, invoicing 3PLs, and brokers and carrier, so everybody knows, because you have an immense opportunity to actually build a huge company with huge wealth, and some guys are missing the point. They're missing the hero of the story is you at this point, not the money. It's you. What can you do? And this is where you need to go in there and say, okay, I can do it for, like you said, $350 a mile. And then you learn how to negotiate. Okay, I want 10, can I do more than 10 lanes? I have 5 trucks. Can you keep my trucks moving? And some of the other stuff, which is nice to negotiate and people don't think of, is, hey, okay, I can do this for $3 a mile, but I want to be in and out of here in an hour. I want to be first. I want to be able to skip. I'll give you this good price if I can skip everybody else and load first. And I've done that with some customers. Like normally it's 4 hours or 5 hours to load, right? Before you even get a door. Well, I've negotiated contracts that might be, instead of being $325 a mile, $350 a mile, I've said we can do it for $3 a mile if we have the first right to the first open door every single time we show up.
Mm-hmm.
And my guys would then pass people, because I've done that. And now it's, where you're sitting there and you're watching a truck that just got there, and you've probably seen it because I've seen other guys say the same thing. Hey, he just got here. Why is he going to a door first? Well, he had a better negotiator with his contract than you did, basically.
Yeah.
And that, just to get loaded in an hour and get out of there, is a big deal. And it might be worth 25 cents a mile to be able to keep moving compared to sitting for 4 hours.
Right.
And that's some of the other ways you can work with customers. And it's not just about the money. Okay, I can work with your $3 if you can do this for me.
Right.
And that's something people don't think about. What else can I do to make this happen?
Yeah, because you have to be able to deliver on the trucks too.
Right.
And to deliver on the trucks, number one, you have to pay them right, and number two, they have to be treated right.
Right.
It's one of the, some of the biggest problems in the industry right now, isn't this? It's not pay. It's dwell time at docks. and things like that. So,
and the EDLs, which hurt you with those dock times. You have computer logs. Back when I was driving, let's just say it was called a comic book for some reasons, but we did what we needed. We did what we needed to do at that point. We drew in our comic book, and that was basically, how it was.
I don't know anything about that.
I don't know nothing about it either. It's just that I've heard.
Yeah, I go back as far as you do. So I lived that life. I prefer that life better than this one. The conditions of these computers and everything these days it's stressful. It's stressful on me. I don't like it one bit.
No, and it's something that this is other stuff that you can explain to a customer better than a broker can. Hey, I can't make that run because here's why. Let me explain what the hours, and you'll be able to break down the hours to him, saying, he's going to run out of time before he can get there because he sat at your door for blah, blah, blah. And you can explain that to a customer, which kind of trains the customer to understand more so they can work with you to get that better price and work these things out. Where a broker's just going to, all they have the power is and knowledge to usually do is negotiate the rates. I'll do it for cheaper. I'll do it for cheaper. Where you can say, look, perfect example I tell, and it's a simple thing that sometimes they don't think about. Customer comes to you and says, hey, I've got a load that would pick up Wednesday and it's 1,000 miles. Well, you can get it there by Friday, but they're not open on Fridays. They only work 410s at the receiver. Well, we can do that load, but you're going to be paying more money because that driver is going to babysit Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with your freight on it. So I got to pay him to do nothing. What happens, in my opinion, as a driver, you would say it'd be better for us to either ship it on Tuesday or push it to Monday, and I can get you a better rate because he can drive it straight through. And a lot of brokers, they don't think about that. They don't want to provide information like this to a customer. They just say, okay, I'll get you a price. And because they don't think about, well, how can we actually make this a little better? Well, we can make it better so the driver's not doing nothing for, now some driver might want to go home, but like I know, most drivers still want money for babysitting, even they don't.
Oh, yeah.
They don't tell you that they're going home, and they should because it's on their trailer. It's still your responsibility. You're still taking the responsibility of that freight on your trailer because if it's stolen and you're at home, it's still your fault. So there should be a pay for that.
You might have reefer fuel in it. You might have all kinds of different things in it.
And this is the stuff that a driver who's also a carrier and a brokerage can go in and say, well, here's how we should work this. And you can kind of explain to the customers because although they're not dumb transportation department people, sometimes they forget about things. And you just need you to say, hey, what if we do this? Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
Or there have been times where I've gotten, they say, oh, this has got to go on a Monday. And I'll call one of my guys and they'll say, I can't get there till Wednesday, but I can still deliver it Friday. I can still get it there this week. All right. So I can call my customer back and say, look, I'm this price. Can we push it to Wednesday? Because I can get one of my guys on this if we can do it Wednesday. If not, I got to go out and find a carrier off the board or somebody else. You will not believe how many times a customer says, yeah, let's push it back. Let's use your guy. We can ship it Wednesday as long as he can still get it there Friday. Yeah, he can. Okay. Yeah. Let's use your guys. And this is what I try to tell people. That broker board is the minimum wage job opportunity board. I'm telling you, that's exactly what it is. Like
eventually it turns into that. Yeah.
Correct. Right now it's different, but normally that's what it is. I get huge rates that I might give to my drivers. I am not putting that rate on the minimum wage board and trying to find somebody I don't know. I don't know how good they are. And then pay them top dollar. No, you got to earn top dollar for me to get there. But once you're there, you're getting my first calls. And this is where you now go to customers and you say, hey, you want one of my normal guys? Because they look at it as two things. Your normal guy's been there before. They know the routine. They know how to get it done. They know where to go in. It's faster. It's more efficient.
Right.
There's no questions. There's no, where do I go type things. It's boom. It's loaded. It's closed. The doors are sealed. They're going in. They're grabbing the paperwork and they're rolling out of there because they've done it before. It's efficient. So a lot of times they're going to say, yeah, I just want one of your guys to do it. Because they don't want to risk it not getting picked up or risk a possibility of having a driver who's not as good as your driver, let's just put it that way, come and get it and things to go awry.
Yeah. So let me ask you some questions, if I may.
All right.
And I don't know if any of these things there's things you've already talked about or save for something that you coach people on. But
Yeah.
okay, so you've decided to do this. You're a carrier, get your brokerage.
Mhm.
You're going to either sell the freight yourself or go out and hire somebody like Freight Connect to do it for you. Um, let's talk about some of the back office stuff. I see your setup in front of you. I'm recently, just in the last few days, working on implementing a TMS here with EDI input.
Mhm.
So on the brokerage side, you've got carrier contracts that you need, rate confirmations.
Mhm.
Um, you need to be able to post loads. You need you use like a RMIS for your packets. Do you talk about any of that?
Yeah. Okay. So let me. I'm gonna let. This is where I differ from anybody else, and it's funny because people sometimes overdo this in the beginning. Okay.
Okay.
So let's think about it. So now you're a carrier, and you're going and get a customer, and you're only going to kind of want to feed your trucks and maybe a couple extra ones, right? So I am still doing spreadsheets.
Okay.
I have a spreadsheet for my loads. I took a spreadsheet and I do up my rate con to the customer, and I show this in one of my videos. I just posted it today. I re-upped it today. I take a rate con. I'm sorry. I take a spreadsheet. I convert it to a PDF. I send that to my customer, and a customer could also give you a purchase order, and you take that too. And then I do a spreadsheet, and I send that spreadsheet to my carrier, and I have them sign that, and I have them send it back to me.
Okay.
I'm done. That's it.
All
That's
right.
all I got. And now, where everything else comes in for somebody else that's doing a lot of loads is one good things that you can have. And I have a factoring company. So my factoring company, for me, I handle everything else. I handle the sales. I handle the operations. I handle everything. I can't split myself another way. So I let them handle the money. And I got an awesome rate. I mean, my factoring rate is like 1.99. So I work with the factoring company for that. But then what you have other avenues. So Carrier 411 costs about $100 a month. And that, I don't know if you've had that, but once you have a brokerage, Carrier 411 is your tattletale. So everybody that's out there, you guys remember your school, I'm going to put this on your permanent record. This is going to stay with you forever, and you'll never be able to become president of the United States because you skipped class that one day. All right.
Right.
That's what Carrier 411 is. So Carrier 411, you cannot get when you're a carrier. You can only get when you have a brokerage.
Right.
It tells you everything you need to know about a carrier if it's an outside carrier. I mean, everything from the insurance. It has brokers will log good things in there about you. They will log bad things in there about you. If you hold loads hostage, you have a Carrier 411 record. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. You can Google Carrier 411. You can get a free trial once it is something that I've used it. I don't have it now because I deal with the same carriers. But they gave me a trial run. You can get a trial run once you have a brokerage. It is, and they show you how to tweak it so you can check safety ratings. You can check how long they've had their authority. You can check that their insurance is still valid. Like I said, the biggest thing it does is it'll say, hey, this carrier has been late to pickups. This carrier has been no-shows. People are putting information on your Carrier 411. It's like a DAC for brokers. Right. So that's a big one that if you're looking for outside carriers and you want to pick the right ones and you're looking for ones you don't know, that's a big tool, is that Carrier 411.
Okay.
So with contracts, you can obviously you can do the contract things. There's websites that you can set up your contracts and stuff like that. Now, I have an old contract that I did a long time ago that basically I took everybody's contract that I was getting as a carrier and picked what I liked and put it all together and hired someone to type it all out. Not going to lie. Changed things as I went and added things as I went, and I keep the same contract. Now, you don't have to have a contract, just so you know. And if a broker doesn't give you a contract, everything falls on Carmack. Okay? So that's basically like, so there are times where I don't give contracts to some people because I'm cool with them, they're cool with me, so all I give them is my credentials. You know, just like you have paperwork, I have a broker authority, and I handle that and my W just in case. And they give me mine. After that, I have Internet Truck Stop. I'm sorry, it's called Truck Stop now. But when I first had it, it was Internet Truck Stop. I got it for $35 a month, and I've been grandfathered in, and it's still $35 a month for me because I've had it for 14 years. You can use, my opinion, if you're doing flatbed, RGN, open deck, Truck Stop seems to be better for that, open deck type stuff. If you're doing reefer and if you're doing reefer and van, DAT, you will need a DAT board to post load. You need their broker version. 123 load board is free for brokers. You can post loads to that. The problem with that one is there's not enough people on it.
Right.
So even though it's free, there are more carriers on DAT because if you're going to pay $200 a month, you're going to use DAT, right? You're going to use DAT. So those are your options for posting loads, right? Those three things. The TMS is, you can use it if you want. It makes life easier, and it's probably easier to learn as you're probably going through that. I don't have it because what the TMS for me is if I had multiple agents and I wanted to see what all of the agents were doing, I'd want them all on the same network so I could log in and see what they're doing because I'm the broker, they're my agent.
Right.
But since I'm a single guy doing it, a single person, and I do, just so everybody knows, I do on my high times, I would do 178 loads. I think I did 140 loads maybe a year. Now I do about 100 loads a year, but the loads that I do can be 20 foot tall, 20 foot wide, and they take a lot of time. So I don't do a ton of loads. But if you are doing like the same customer and the same customer is giving you the same lanes, over and over and over again, the TMS software is good because you can just copy the entire freight bill and just keep repeating it. Does that make sense?
Right.
But if you're kind of, it's not something you have to have, but eventually technology makes your life easier. I did it, and I still do it by using spreadsheets and sending that.
I've been doing everything manually, but I looked into this TMS and I'm kind of liking what it has to offer. It's easier to track equipment, drivers, assets. I don't have to watch their physicals and their license and the DOT inspections. And then I have EDI. Some of the places I deal with, really, they'll give me more freight opportunities if I use EDI.
Right. That's what I was going to get on too. For you, now, if you already have trucks, that system's good because you have multiple things. Just like for me, I'm not. So I use the example of agents.
Yeah. And this one will manage brokerage and carrier.
Right. So for you,
TMS.
Absolutely, that would be one that TMS Ascend.
That's what I'm using. Okay. Yeah.
So Ascend is one that you would use, and for you it might be good because you're already dealing with multiple things. You have multiple trucks, and then you might have multiple agents, and now you're doing brokerage and trucking. For me, it wasn't useful yet because I don't have multiple agents, and I'm only doing brokerage. So Ascend is a big one that I would look into. You can get a free trial for it for the full version, and then if you don't pay, they don't delete you. They kick you down to the free version. For a while, and then from there you get what you want with it. For that, is that what you're at right now? The free version type?
No, I went full out the premium version because
big spender.
It's only $70 a month.
No, it is.
And the abilities that it gives me, it's like this is going to save me. My God, it saves. It's going to take some time to set it up because I got to put a lot of stuff in there.
Correct.
But after that, the amount of because I do everything manual. I mean, I don't know if you've seen. Everybody makes fun of me. I still use an adding machine for crying out loud.
I heard that. I watched that adding machine, and you even have a 5-ring binder. Is that what you're doing still?
Oh, accordion binders. I got. Hey, we're old school around here.
I am, and I'm old school too. So it is the Ascend is definitely something you can look into. And if anybody wanted to, you could do it right now for the sign up for the trial. I don't get anything. So everything I'm saying is not, I don't get anything for this. So don't mention, but if you want a bond, contact me. I'm trying to, I'm pushing for that. I'm hoping they start giving me something soon if I send enough people. But besides that, I don't. So for me, like I said, if it's free, it's for me. That's how I look at things. If it's free, it's for me. So to get in there and take a look at the system and how it works is monstrous because you can see how it works for free, and then they keep you. They don't get rid of you, and then you have the free version. So you can still use the free version, learn it, and then when you're time to rock and roll with it, you at least have an idea about it.
Yeah. And I like all this technology stuff. Some of it's very handy, but then there's a point where a lot of it I find to be an annoyance. It's like I don't need to be on checking my Facebook 20 times a day. I don't need to be on Twitter and this and that. Nothing wrong with people that do, but at a certain point too, you have information overload. It's like at a certain point you just got to go to work and get shit done.
Right. And I'm the same way. All I have is the YouTube channel. I don't have Facebook. I have Twitter just to kind of monitor news and stuff. If stuff pops up. But besides that, so I'm not, like I said, for me, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But for others, I would suggest getting started on that system so that you're knowing that system right off the bat. So when it starts to go, you can be ready to rock and roll with it. Carrier.
Here's the thing too. Everybody talks about leveling the playing field. These technologies, things like Ascend TMS and some of these other things and Freight Connect and the bond company that you do, it's making it possible for small companies like me to operate on the level with the big boys
Oh,
for
absolutely.
very small amounts of money. I mean, it's ridiculous. With this Ascend and the TMS and EDI and all that, they wouldn't know if I didn't tell them if I was 5 trucks or 75 trucks.
Right.
You can operate on a higher level than what you're really at.
Right. And it makes it does a lot to allow you to eventually not spend 2 hours doing your editing machine. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because you just stepped up
Yeah.
from an Abacus, right? I mean, you just got
Yeah.
the
Well,
Abacus.
we keep the Abacus in case the batteries go dead in the
Exactly.
editing machine.
So, and those editing machines, they're not solar, they're battery powered. So you still have to
Exactly.
run that Abacus. So
Yeah.
no, and it allows you to free up some time to handle other things because that's the goal is you have to eventually, once you get the brokerage and stuff up and running, and now you've got a carrier and you're selling, you're doing this. When drivers come to me and say brokers shouldn't make that much money, and it's one of those things that it's like, oh, you don't have enough invested in this. The issue is that smart people make more money than dumb people. I'm a blunt guy from New York, right? So having that brokerage, you really got to be smart and on the ball and be able to do a lot. And that's the big aspect of that brokerage. It's all mental. There are times that I've handled a project that took me a week. I ain't gonna lie. I think it was like 60 trucks or something, or right. And every truck was picking up on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and they all had to deliver in a specific order to the job site. And if one got screwed up or held up or something, it put everybody else out of order. And if I didn't get it there in time and it was past a certain date, I'd be charged $10,000 a day for not getting all this stuff done. And I signed the contract, and it was like, by the time I was done and everybody made it in that week, I swear to God, I lost 20 pounds just by using my brain. I mean, it was like, they say that chess players burn 10,000 calories a match. And that week I was exhausted dealing with all this and making the phone calls and handling and orchestrating this, because that's what happens when you're doing this and here's an example that I guarantee everybody's going to say this, that this happens to them. You get to a customer and they're like, it's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. Get it out of my truck. Got to go, go, go. Then you get to the receiver and they're like, man, we don't need this for 2 months. And you're like, what the hell? Well, what happens is customers sign contracts when they do this stuff that they're obligated to ship 10,000 feet of pipe every month. If they don't ship 10,000 feet of pipe and they only ship 9,000 feet of pipe, they can be charged $5,000 a day for not meeting that 10,000 monthly 10,000 pipe. So they got to get that crap out. They got to get it on the job site. Because they don't care if the receiver's ready for it or not. They just know they got to get it out.
Right.
So then the receiver, it's on his property. He signed for it. You can't charge me money. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's why you see that happening. So there's a lot of times that there are fines. You think you're paying detention. There are times that I'm up for possible detention if I don't get stuff done. And that is what you're dealing with the brokerage. If I don't get, and that's why you see, all of a sudden you see a load go from $3 a mile to $10 a mile. Because to pay you an extra $1,000 as a truck driver to not get hit with a $10,000 on the other end bill, okay, yeah, I'll gladly pay the $1,000 to the driver so I don't get popped with $10,000.
Yeah, and to go back to of the people that make the statement of, oh, all a broker has into it is computer and this, and you make too much and you shouldn't make that much. You don't know what the hell the broker's making off of that. You might lose money on that load.
Correct.
And brokers can have way more into it. Like, do you employ a sales team? Do you employ an accounting department? Do you employ? Do you pay for a bond? I mean, it's ridiculous. The software can be expensive. Some of these shippers require. This Blue Jay is a very expensive software. They have more into it than you think they do.
Right.
Now, on the big boy level, like TQL, yeah, it averages out to a smaller amount per user. I get that, but don't judge. You don't know what a broker has into something. Right. You have no idea.
Or the amount of time I have in it. And because here's the thing too, I do a video, and just to answer somebody's quick question, the quote for the bond is free. Yeah, it's a free quote, soft tap on your credit.
Yeah.
Just so you know, there are times that I forgot. I did a show and I basically say stop running a lemonade stand. And I want everyone to understand how I want you to look at the broker. And if you look at a broker like this, you'll understand. There's a hierarchy when you have a company. The hierarchy is you have the CEO and the board members, the high management, and then you have a sales team, and then you have production/operations, and then you have the people loading the trucks, basically, right? That's the gist of it. If I were to ask any driver right now, let me ask you, if I were to call into you and say, hey, can I speak with your sales and marketing team, please?
I would actually say I could give you his phone number. He's not in-house. I subcontract that out.
Correct. You can. And that's one way to go. And that's why I brought that up. Now, our other drivers who aren't using him, before you had him, I called you and said, can I speak to anybody in your sales and marketing team, please?
But then I would have to say that's me.
That would be you. But okay, well then can I also speak with your operations manager, please?
No, that's also me.
Okay, can I speak with the driver of your truck?
Well, that's me. Happens to be me.
At what point is it not you?
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
right.
I get it.
So at some point, you need to look at that broker as your sales and marketing team. And the best part about it is if it's done right, it's free.
Yeah.
Because you tell me you want $2,000 for the load, I'm going to go to the customer for $25. You just got your $2,000. You paid nothing for my service, nothing at all. And that's kind of what that broker's doing. And,
exactly.
And I use another example is that,
and you might have worked a year to get that customer.
Absolutely.
You might have been calling that customer once a week for a year. That's not worth anything.
Dude, I
don't like that as a carrier. I'll go do it my damn self, and I most likely won't be successful.
I am so jealous right now that you guys all have golden opportunities to just show up at a customer and they're coming out to you saying, here, please quote my freight. I didn't get that opportunity. I worked from 4 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night making phone calls sometimes.
Right.
You know, and it was like, you guys have a golden opportunity. And it's like, you know, I think about this all the time. You know, youth is wasted on the young, my dad. Now, you guys now have the opportunity of a lifetime right now because they're coming to you. The gatekeepers are leaving the Wizard of Oz are pulling back the curtain and now coming out to you and saying, help me. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God, you guys this is golden opportunities here. And I even say on one of my things, it's like, okay, if let's say I got a free scholarship or I won the lottery and my lottery paid for law school. And I went to law school and I graduated with all honors, the highest in the class. I scored perfect scores at everything. Can I not charge a high dollar because I won? I got the lottery ticket that paid for my college. I don't have a bill for it. No,
maybe not.
Maybe not. It's based on your services and how good you are. You know what I mean? I don't want to pay on your equipment because guess what? Everybody else has that same 53-foot trailer that you got. They got that same truck that you got. You want me to start paying because of how much you put in there? Then you're only worth next to the guy at the truck stop next to you. I want to pay you for you and how good you are. And I tell drivers, everybody's seen The Matrix, right? Remember the scene in The Matrix where there's the woman in the red dress among all the people wearing black and white? You got to be the woman in the red dress. You got to stick out. Because everybody sitting next to you in that truck stop is all pretty much got the same equipment as you, and they're all looking at the same loads. What makes you different? That's what you got to sell.
Well, kind of a couple different things there is I might be the only guy in the truck stop that might call the shipper. The other guys might only be calling brokers.
Right.
Okay, so there's that.
Red dress. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we kind of keep bouncing back and forth from that line. A lot of people might assume we're talking about brokers when we're kind of over here.
I'm talking about customers. So when you go to customers, you want to stick out from the crowd because you need to be, and that's where you will win because your most important thing you now have over a broker is a truck.
Yeah.
You have the truck. You own the truck and you have a brokerage.
Yes.
You have the leverage. You now have what they don't have. Can anybody and please put in the comments if you have, because I haven't. Has anybody seen a C.H. Robinson truck? An actual one that said C.H. Robinson on the door? There's very few.
I think I saw a trailer one time with C.H. Robinson on it, which I didn't know existed.
Right. But no trucks, right? I don't think I've seen a trailer, I think also, but I've never seen a truck.
I think they have them, if I'm a few, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be very wrong. I don't
So
know.
they say, I mean, leprechauns and unicorns might exist, they say, but where are they, right?
Exactly.
I've been searching rainbows for a C.H. Robinson truck, and I haven't seen one yet. So,
Yeah.
And that's where now you're showing up with a truck and a brokerage and good service,
Right.
and you're willing to work with them on the price when the broker's hitting them for 5. Because if the broker's hitting for 5, for you giving it to you for 5, he's getting it for 6, and you're willing to come in at 350.
Yeah.
Oh man, give me your card, dude. You
Yeah.
can feel my, dreams are made right now with this, because these guys are up nights trying to figure out how they're going to pay for some of this freight. That's why they're desperate. They're taking a beating, and you're there with the answer. And all you have to do is look at the big picture. Not to this load, but how many more loads can I get?
Yeah.
I'm willing to do it for 350 if you're willing to give me 10 loads. I'll clean all my trucks here.
Right.
Dude, I don't know how many trailers you have, and I know trailers are a dime a dozen, and I can tell you why they're a dime a dozen. Because I have customers right now, and this is
People
what I
keep
want to
saying that, but I'm not seeing their dime a dozen.
Reefer
They're like
trailers are
gold.
different, but reefer trailers are different right now.
Yeah.
But van trailers, and I'll tell you why van trailers. A manufacturer or a salesman person, that I'm not a salesperson, but somebody that's making something, they are not designed to warehouse their freight. They are designed to manufacture freight. So they can only store so much before they run out of room. They need the crap off their docks. They need it out so they can make more. There are people right now that I talk to that are willing to pay $1,500 a day for drop trailers to get the stuff off their docks, and then let you cut, because they need it off the dock to make more. They don't.
No, I can buy some trailers. So let's talk about.
That's why the smart people are going out and they're buying trailers, because $1,000 a day, $1,500 a day.
Hey, I'll pay that trailer off quick.
And I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? He's like, dude, we have 4 loads that we got to get off our docks, and they're trying to find trucks and just to get them out of there, and the receivers aren't ready for them yet, but they got to get. So that's why the big guys are going out buying trailers, leasing trailers. That's why vans are because reefers are different, because you're running fuel. And at that point, you're shipping it before you take it like that. You're going to ship it to a cold storage before you put it on a trailer, just because there's people walking around cold storage, and you can't really do a drop trailer situation much with a reefer. Right. It's risky. Plus you need every 4 hours or so on some loads to check temperatures.
Yeah.
And so then it's a liability thing. It becomes tougher. But vans right now, when you can just drop it and leave it, they just need the stuff off their docks. And now here you are. I got 4 trailers. Oh, you got 4 trailers? Bring me those trailers. I'll pay you this much just to drop those trailers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And these are the opportunities that you're missing, that you could be getting. I mean, you own a trailer, you drop a trailer, and you're making, let's say, even if it's $800 a day, just to leave a trailer in somebody's yard with their product on it. Cha-ching. And then once you get a truck in there and they're ready to go, you're kind of guaranteed the freight at that point, because it is on your trailer.
On your trailer, yeah. No, I was talking to the Paul from Freight Connect. We were talking. He's been talking to a major, worldwide, actually, 3PL, and the problem they have freight sitting on the floor in the aisles in the warehouse because they can't get it out of their freaking warehouses. They're like, bring us trucks, and people still don't put it all together.
I don't know.
Like, they're begging for you is what they're doing.
They are.
That should
They are.
make the cash register go off in your head. Number one. Number 2, hey, you don't have to do a lot of things right to get that business. You can do a lot of things wrong and still get the business.
Right. And they're all, and think about this. They're willing. It's so right now. It's such a key time that they're willing to understand that you might not be the perfect answer, but right now, by the time you're done, you guys will learn how to communicate with each other, and you'll become a team together. They're willing to take a risk on you and help you succeed. They want you to, if you help them succeed, they're going to help you succeed. I had a guy call me at Easter, and he said they were a small company, and he says, well, I'm a small company. And he says, look, as we grow bigger, you can grow bigger. Let's just grow together. I just need somebody in this area that I need a face, because it's really important I get my stuff out. So right now, shippers are looking for service and face it, because they're getting nothing but excuses and stupidity from brokers, from the big brokers. And
That's the conversations I had with the people that I got set up with direct. Is both of them, one of the first things they said is, we want small carriers and we want to grow together with you.
Yes.
And that was key right there. And one of them, the other one's kind of slow right now. It's off season, but the other one, she says, I have these loads I can never cover, because it's for everybody else it's like 120-mile deadhead. Well, for me it happens to be like a 60-mile deadhead, and they go 367 miles and pay me $1,800. I'm like, I'll take every one of them, and then I'm just going to turn around and I'm not even going to mess with the backhaul. I'm going to come back empty.
Right.
And I'm going to get another one and still average like 250 a mile, all miles, and just keep pounding, running that lane for you. And the other day she's like, I'm glad we decided to work with you, and thank you, for everything you're doing for us. And I'm like, hey, I'm not going to, tell you how much I appreciate you, but I'm just going to say thanks.
Right.
I don't want you to know too much about how much I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And that's where, like I said, I'm different. A lot of my customers, and here's the thing too, this is what you want to be. This is your goal. My customers a customer came out to me and said, look, I have no idea what we pay you. I just know you're worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where you want to be. You want to be where you're at the point where it's like, because you always remember when something was crap, and you remember exactly how much you paid for crap.
Yes.
But when something was good, you're like, I don't remember what I paid for that exactly, but I still have it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
that's what you want to be. You want to and to do that, it's solving their problems. You just solve their problems. Money is not always their problem, but when it is, they'll tell you. So don't assume it is. And what I mean by that is, everybody's like, oh, I got to go in there and be cheaper. I got to go be in cheaper. They might not need you to be cheaper. And I've dealt with this a lot of times where I explain this to people. And like I said, I've been doing this forever. They will test you, and they will give you a price as a broker. They will give you, and brokers fail at this all the time. I know they do, because I've been told that. They will give you a price that you can't do it for. They'll give you a load that's going 1,000 miles, and they'll tell you, can you do it for $1,200? And the broker says, oh, let me see what I can do. And then they go out and they post it, not knowing that they're never going to find a truck for 44,000 pounds for $1.20 a mile. Well, that's what the customer's giving me. That's all I've got in it. That's what the customer's giving me. The customer basically, you're supposed to say, my answer would be, it's kind of low, but let me see what I can do. And then I go and I find a truck, and let's say the price is $2,200. We use simple numbers. I go back to the customer and I say, okay, I have a truck for $2,500, or even if I have a truck, but I have a guaranteed truck. This is what it's cost. This is the going rate. This is why the price is what it is. The lane that he's going to is not the best lane for him to find freight of. And this is why the price is going to be this area. They're like, all right, let's set it up. Because I've come at them with knowledge and experience, and I've sold it to them. I knew I couldn't do it for $1,200.
Right.
And if the customer came back and said, no, I have to move it for 12, well, you're not my customer. I can't help you. Thank you for the opportunity to quote your freight, but I don't think we'll be a good fit together. And I leave. But I'm not going to give them their price. I'm going to give them my price, because I'm in shipping, they're in widgets.
Yeah. That's not the kind of long-term relationship you're looking for, that somebody that only cares about price, because eventually they only care about price, but then they want perfect service to go along with that dirt cheap price. And they're going to want more and more and more. And you're going to be expected to absorb that. And it's just not a good long-term. You want somebody to work with you and not try to beat you up. This is the same with us trying to beat up a broker on every load.
Right.
If a customer's trying to beat you up on every load, it's not something you really, really want to do anyways.
Right. And the other thing I want everyone to, one thing, I'm giving tips here, man. I'm giving nuggets there, jewels.
We're pulling them all out of you. We're getting it all for free today.
And that's fine. Cash App, great sage. Anyways, one of the things I want you to understand is that nobody likes to be nickel and dime. You don't like to be nickel and dimed. Customers don't like to be nickel and dimed. Customers sometimes don't have a problem paying $3, $4, $5, $6, $20, $30, $40, $50,000, but they don't want to pay $50, $60, 17 times on the same load. And so what I tell people to do, because understand that as a broker, if I get a load and you want to move it for $2,000, people are like, oh, a broker should only make 10%. Well, let's take 10%. That's $200, right? Now, I go in there, and next thing you know, you're there for 4 hours. What's the first thing you ask me for? Detention.
Money. Yep.
Money. So now let's say I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to, upset either I can go back to customer and say, hey, I need more money, or I can just say, okay, I'll give you $100. Now I'm down to $100, right? Now, now you go to the receiving end, and next thing it takes another 4 hours. What's the first thing you're going to ask me for? Money.
Same thing.
Exactly. So now I either go back to the customer and nickel and dime them on a load that I've already given them a price for, right? And say, okay, I need another $200. I need another $200. And I rather than factor that in, I just keep doing that. The customer gets pissed. They're like, every single time you give me a load, you always come back for more money. Well, rather than do that, what if I went in for $2,500? And I just knowing, you know what I mean, that I'm going to take $500 on top of this load. But now when you ask for money, I'm going to give you the money and I'm going to make $300, but I don't have to go back to the customer and I don't have to nickel and dime them for this small amount of money when they're giving me 50, 60 loads.
Right.
When you are the brokerage or when you are a carrier, go in for a price that if something goes bad, don't come unless it's majorly bad. Like if I get there and you're supposed to deliver today and you're not going to unload till tomorrow, that's different. But if it's going to be an hour detention or something like that, go in for a price thinking you're going to get some type of hit. And if it goes perfect, great, you made money this time. But if it doesn't, you can throw a little bit of money and then know, okay, fine. You know what I mean? And you can handle that and you're not going back to them constantly because customers, just like all of us, don't want to be nickel and dimed.
Well, they're also busy. They give you a load, they want you to handle it. Because their time is valuable too, and they don't want to be on the phone with you 15 times a day. But
right.
In relation to that too, you said something. You hit on something there. I want to talk a little bit about is people say only brokers should only make 10%. They say we should only make this much. I don't think anybody else really has the right to tell anybody else how much they can make. Now, you can not like it and not do business with that person.
Correct.
But just keep in mind, and this goes to the whole broker transparency thing that people are trying to do right now. Keep in mind that if you're going after brokers to make them show you their books and how much they can make, it's only a short matter of time before they come after you as a trucking company and say, you're making too much. We want to see your books and we're going to cut this down so you can only make so much. And if you don't think that's going to happen, that happens every damn time with everything. So stop this bullshit transparency stuff. It's not good for anybody, and it's going to lead to more regulation and rates and more of people in your business, and you're not going to like that. Anybody that's in trucking.
And I've got an answer to that too that people aren't thinking about. And from this back, and there's a couple of because I see T Hill basically said, "Tell me up front." And the thing is that let's say transparency. There's a couple of things here, and I want you to understand that I am telling you to get a brokerage. A brokerage will cost you $1,000 a year. Okay.
Right.
I'm telling you to get a brokerage. I am telling you how to use a brokerage. I am telling you the amount of money that you could make with a brokerage. Do you seriously want the government to screw that up for you? Do you want transparency? Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you how transparency will work. I cannot tell prices that I give my customers to anyone. I sign an NOA NOA?
NDA.
I sign an NDA. I sign an NDA saying that I will not discuss prices. And let me explain why. A shipper, if I give a shipper, and I mean, when I call a shipper, I mean any customer. It could be the receiver. It could be a project management company. Let's just say the customer. I give a customer a $2,000 price. Okay. The customer is going to mark my rate up because if there's a problem, they don't want to nickel and dime their customer. So I might give a $2,000 price. They might mark it up to $3,000. Now, because they're handling the freight, they have to load the truck. They have to hire someone. They hired me, so they're going to pay for the service of hiring me. They're going to have to pay me, most likely before they get paid. So they're billing for that service too. There are things in there that cost money for that customer just to hire me.
Yes.
Right? They have to have
have to have somebody pay somebody's wage to deal with you.
With me. They have to have a transportation manager. So that's factored in. Okay. And I understand, but detention, and I'll get to that too. So when that happens, if that gets back to the person buying the product says, "Why did you mark it up another $1,000? That's crap." And then it causes animosity between the customer and the person buying the product. Right. And I will not discuss money with anyone except for the person paying my bill, because you don't pay my bill, you don't get to know how much I get paid. And that protects my customer, and it's going to protect your customer. You should do the exact same thing, because people on the other end will ask how much you will be paid. And if you tell them and it doesn't match, your customer is going to get pissed off and they're going to dump you. So you tell no one how much you're paid, and that's what the customer makes you sign off, because there's fees in there and stuff. The other thing is transparency only hurts the little brokers, because C.H. Robinson, I'm going to hate to break this to you, they got a freight forwarder. Our freight forwarder is a shipper. All they have to do is run up to their freight forwarder side, and they can charge their freight forwarder. And next thing you know, you will actually never know who the real shipper is.
Yep. It's only going to hurt the little guy. And it's only going to hurt the little trucking company too.
Correct. It's only going to hurt the little guy in the little trucking company, because just like, they're going to run it through freight forwarders. A freight forwarder becomes a shipper, and now they're the shipper. So there's nothing you can ask for. This is how much we're charging, even though they're actually charging more, but that's the shipper. So it's only going to hurt you, because somebody else is going to ask how much we move that load for. Then they're going to go to your customer and try to undercut you. And it's going to hurt you, because it's not going to hurt C.H. Robinson, because you're never going to do that. So transparency will, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a broker. If I were to open up my carrier going again, it's the same thing. Like, I don't care if you know how much money I'm going to make, because I'll open up a freight forwarder myself.
You can pull the load or not pull the load.
Correct. So that's who it's actually going to hurt, is because I'm telling you, it's so easy to get a brokerage, and you can actually be one. And by checking out my channel, I'm taking you step by step in what to do.
I could double broker the freight to myself and then put it to a carrier.
Yeah. I mean, what you're always going to do too, just so you know, is once you have a brokerage, you're always going to go from the customer to the broker to the truck. And the reason for that is, let's say right now you have a direct customer, correct?
Yes.
If something were to happen and your truck couldn't pull it, you have to give the load back to the customer. You can't rebroker it without that brokerage.
Right.
If something were to happen where it's on your trailer with a brokerage, you could hire a power only to haul that legally. And you never have to give the freight back. So it is very, very, very important for you to get a brokerage for that purpose alone.
Yes.
To make sure that you don't have, because when you start giving loads back to customers and have to, pay someone to take it off your truck because they can't, they have to hire someone to pull your trailer now, it don't look good. So anybody that's doing this, I truly believe you need to get that brokerage for that purpose alone, to be able to cover stuff that in case your trucks break or your driver, somebody leaves you hanging and, something. I had a driver appendix burst. I mean, what am I going to do? He's rushed to a hospital. Here's his truck. Basically we had to have somebody pull the truck out, and then I was able to broker a power only and pull the trailer. That happened to me. I didn't have to go back to the customer with it. So when it comes to detention, you're right. I have a series. For me, detention should be paid after the agreed upon time. I do 3 hours because I do overdimensional freight, and it always takes longer to load. But mine's retroactive. So when I go to my customer, I have trained my customers, look, I'm giving you 3 to 4 hours here. It shouldn't be any longer than that. But I do tell my drivers up front it's 3, and then usually if it goes over, I'll pay. But I've got my customers trained, hey, this is, we need to keep this moving. And it's your job as a broker to train your customers for that and to tell them, express that to them, that I have to bill you. We need to keep this moving. The drivers need to get out of there. If you want your shipments delivered on time and you want these good rates, I can't get you a good rate and then punish the driver for 4 hours sitting and still maintain the rate. To get these rates, we need to keep them loaded, and we need to be, optimize this. That's the broker's fault. And if they lie to you, but I hate brokers for the same reason. They should be paying. You did a video on truck order not used, right?
Correct.
I remember your video on truck order not used, and you explained that. And I remember watching that, and to me, a truck order not used on my paperwork that I sell the customer, give it to the customer and tell them, is 24 hours. You better tell me if your load picks up at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, you better have told me by 9 o'clock Monday it's not going, or I'm billing truck order not used.
Yeah, in some places they say 2 hours. I mean, it's subjective, and everybody, you got to research that,
Correct. So a lot of times, and then some, I don't want to bill truck order not used because that's punishing.
I don't want to get one.
Right. I don't want to punish my customer for not doing their job. It doesn't go over well. Eventually, it just doesn't. So you need to train them and say, look, the broker should be calling saying, look, I'm bringing a truck in. I really don't want a truck order not used? Is your freight ready? I don't want to bill you for this. You want to be proactive. And that goes a long way with customers because they see that you don't want to punish them. You want to be proactive and make sure that it's on time.
Right.
And I have saved a lot of truck order not used and been able to do, hey, because I'll tell you the day before, hey, that load, it's going to be pushed back. You're welcome to stay on it, but if you don't, I'm cool with it if you want to come off. But I'm going to tell you Monday that it's not picking up Tuesday. Because if it's Tuesday and you're on your way, I got to pay. I got to pay.
Yeah.
Because I did not give you fair time, realistic time, in my opinion.
I got to take a phone call here for a second. Can you go ahead and talk for a little bit?
I absolutely, me?
All right.
Of course.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Talk for a little bit. I could go on for days. All right. Let's go to the comments here. Yes, transparency and detention. Okay. So a lot of times they're not charging detention. What they're actually doing is they're pulling it out of their money. So they don't want to go back to the customer and charge because to them, they don't get a big enough cut out of detention to make it worth anything. So that's why they fight you on detention because they might not get the detention. So they're going to eat that cost. I don't agree with that. I'm just telling you what they're doing. So what they basically want to do is when you get there, you want to say, I'm here. You want to send them a message that you're there and that, okay, 1 hour has passed. Detention starts after 2 hours and you want to inform them because this is a business and you're a business. So you could still bill them for that detention. Now, if they don't pay that detention, you turn that into your taxes and write it off as unpaid debt collected because you billed them for detention and they didn't pay the detention. But if they do, you can still push for that detention. So I agree with you with that, with the transparency but it's not that they're not being transparent, is they just don't want to bill for that detention because they might not be making anything on detention. That might be the agreement. So how hard are they going to work for something that they're not going to be able to make any money on? I hope that answers. And I'm not saying I condone this stuff as a broker. Trust me, you can listen to my videos and you'll see how much I can't stand brokers. But I'm trying to be honest on what they're basically doing. So let's see. Let me know if there's any other questions. And if anybody has questions, let's take this opportunity to take over the show. Let me see what's going on. Work for some other reason. Does anybody have any other questions in regards to basically anything, even getting your brokerage? I do believe that you should get it 100%. The bonding company, Bonding Solutions, ask for Alec. Tell them that I sent you, and get a quote. It's free.
All right, I'm back here.
Okay, shh, don't tell them. Don't tell them.
It's amazing how fast your day can go to crap.
Yes. Welcome to the world of freight.
All right. I don't mean we're gonna have to wrap it up. I got some problems to address here. So, well, thanks for doing this today. And there's anything you want to close with here? Throw out your YouTube channel and everything you want to promote here.
Yeah, mine's the Great Freight Sage Logic. It's gonna have in green writing on there. I don't know how to send a link because I'm not a moderator or anything. I don't know. Can you throw a link in there, or no? Or can I make me a mod?
Oh yeah. Can you put a comment in there though?
Yes, I can. Hey. And then I'll just go in here real quick and grab my channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs, and I'm going to be doing a lot with the show. So basically, real quick, what I'm going to be doing with the show is I'm going to have a lot of interviews. I've got a DOT guy that I'm going to bring on to go over DOT questions. And I'm just going to try to do a lot with the show. I kind of want to make it a place for as much knowledge in regards to trucking as I can. So I'm going to be bringing DIY on to go over any type of trucking questions and things like that. Let me get to my damn channel here.
Yeah, that's always welcome here. We like to do that. Trying to make you a moderator here.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so I'm trying. My goal is to get to 1,000 subs before I start going live and stuff. But I actually want to have people call in and ask their questions on how to go to customers, how to negotiate with customers, and what's going on, even if it's broker questions or carrier questions and stuff like that. My mod. Let's see if this works.
Yep, we made you a moderator here.
There's the link on there. So check me out. Like I said, I'm whipping through videos. I got a lot of them. I seem to be almost doing 2 a day. I can talk endless. So it's basically, like I said, if anybody has questions, I do a good factoring deal for carriers and brokers. Actually, mine's better than any of the other people because I use my leverage as a broker. And negotiating skills. We're good negotiating skills. So I was able to negotiate a better deal.
Excellent.
But besides that, thanks for having me on, and I'd love to do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again. Hang on for a second. We'll bounce out of here. I'll talk to you in a minute.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you later, everybody. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for stopping by, everybody.